Hello and welcome everyone, it is me, the Lover, also known as the Power to Do, is back for you with another video. And today we are going to jump into some playtesting with the new Shinobird cards. I'll quickly run down the deck and a bit of what this deck wants to do. Then we'll get into a game, maybe even a match on, AGOV Pro, and then just kind of wrap this whole thing up very quick and easy. Currently, this is a rough draft. This is probably not a finalist. I've done a couple test stands with this, and this felt good. So, I wanted to put this to the test as soon as possible, I guess. We are playing 3 copies of Aratama. This is a spirit that on normal summon grabs you another spirit from the deck, except another copy of itself. Additional searching is always appreciated, and we are of course also playing the new spirit, the Sakitama, free normal summon for a spirit, essentially by revealing this in hand. And also in this deck specifically, this has a second very cute effect, since it is, if it is tributed, you can target a spirit in your grave and add it to your hand, essentially giving you a free summon of one of your level 4 rituals to kind of replace those. I'm still on one Shinobird Crane. This is here for some additional draws if you summon another spirit, which is kind of cute. But otherwise, yeah, the main deck Shinobirds aren't really great if they're not rituals. Then, what this deck kind of, bases around. Shinobaron and Shinobaroness Peacock, both level 8 ritual spirit monsters with incredibly powerful removal effects. Baron being able to return up to 3 cards on the field to your opponent's hand, or 3 monsters your opponent controls to their hand. And Baroness being able to shuffle up to 3 spell traps your opponent controls into their deck. The cool part about these compared to like your usual spirit monsters, when they go back into your hand in the end phase, these leave behind 2 tokens. Shinobird tokens, Winged Beast, Wind level 4s with 1500 as their stat line. Which is kind of cute, and something that I think is very neat about this deck. So you kind of have this loop going where, you summon, you remove, or like at least in theory, you'd have this loop going of, you summon, you remove, in the end phase they return, and then you can, on the next turn summon one of these again. These have gotten younger versions of themselves, kind of like Ruin and Demise. We have here the Shinobaron Shade Peacock. This is a level 4 ritual, can be ritualed by Shinobird's Calling and become Shinobaron Peacock. This can tribute itself, this ritual summoned guy can tribute itself and add a spirit and a ritual spell. And once per turn during the next standby phase after this was banished, you can special summon it. Also, returns to your hand in the end phase. Similar story here with the Baroness Shade. You can, ritual with Shinobird's Calling. But if she's ritual summoned, you can add a spell trap that mentions spirit monster in its text, which is, there's a couple of good targets for that. And also very handy, to grab, specific back row pieces you might be needing. And similar to the Baron Shade, you can revive her or bring her back from the banished zone the next standby phase after she's banished. And once per turn during the end phase, if this was special summoned, return to the hand. Playing 3 pre-prep and 3 prep for additional consistency. Pre-prep is crazy because Shinobird Calling specifically mentions Baron and Baroness, and the OG prep can grab you the smaller rituals, which is very lovely indeed. 3 Shinobird's Calling is used to ritual summon Shinobaroness and Shinobaron Peacock. You must also tribute monsters from your hand or field and or banish spirits from your grave. Host total levels equal or exceed the level of the rituals you ritual summon, which makes this, banishing clause on the level 4s even better. Have a power spot here. This boosts your spirits by 500 attack and defense, and if a face-up wind you control returns to hand, you can add a spirit or ritual spell from your deck to your hand. Really just another good bit of follow-up and recursion. And then we have the crazy field spell the deck is getting in Age of Overlord. Once per turn, you can ritual summon a wind ritual monster from your deck by tributing spirits and or Shinobird tokens you control, whose total levels equal or exceed the ritual's level. Yes, ritual summon from the deck. Shadow Fusion wasn't enough, so now we are ritual summoning from the deck, I guess. Or like after fusions, rituals are the next ones to be like, yep, we are doing that from the deck now. Terraforming. And for the second effect of this, we are, of course, also running a card. But up to twice per turn, if a face-up wind you control returns to your hand, you can activate one of these effects. You either add a spirit or ritual spell that is banished on your graveyard to your hand, or you set a starter line across the Milky Way directly from your deck. This is set to trap card. This is a trap that reveals a ritual in the hand and adds a ritual with the same level but a different name from your deck to your hand. And you can banish this from your graveyard and send a ritual spell from your hand to the graveyard. This effect becomes that card's effect to ritual summon. So this basically means if you have, you know, Baron in hand, you can grab Baroness, and if this is in your graveyard, you can drop a Baron or Baroness on your opponent on their turn, which is rather sick. In terms of non-engine, 3 Ash, a card by 3 book, and an imp and 3 imperm. I don't know, pretty low powered lineup. You could probably do a lot more. I do see a lot of potential in like a blind second version of this deck, because you do appreciate the added card and can make great use of like simplifying a game state with like a huge blowout card. Extra deck is pretty straightforward. We're playing a rank 4 toolbox and a redoer alongside a Zeus. And then some toolbox links alongside Underworld Goddess, the greatest link ever printed, an Access Code Talker, Unicorn, 2 Dynamondos, an IP Masquerade, and a Cross Sheep, and a Link Spider. The side deck's a side deck in case we really have enough time for a match, but without further ado, let's jump into a game. And with that, we have found our game. Let's see how this goes. Very excited to see how Shinobirds, of course, work in a more standard play environment. We're going second here, sadly no hand traps, so I guess, you know, kind of hoping that our opponent doesn't set up a too crazy board. Oh, the Ritual Mirror, sending start during the end phase of the next turn. And Scavenger, I think, Scar has a graveyard effect, right? Center grave, add a Vendred spell trap. Yes, I did recall something like that. Vendred, of course, also another, you know, kind of very, very casual ritual archetype, adding Vendred Knights to field spell. I think this it's a Rhoda of sorts. Yeah, this discards one. It's a Vendred and has a multi-attack effect. That's kind of cute, I guess. Hounds is like Hound Horde. What was this again? Quick effect, target a card, spell trap your opponent controls, banish it. We're making Vampire Sucker here, triggering the Vendred Slayer for a ritual spell. The Revendred Slayer for Ravenous Vendred. Okay, my hand, deck, or graveyard, face on defense. Except Scavenger. Okay. Send the Regis. I think these just summon themselves, right? Yeah. Sucker for a draw, which is kind of cute. But I think here we are going to ritual summon. Hound Horde for summon. Ravenous Vendred. Summoning the Revenants. This is gonna be a dangerous one. So we do have the quick effect Banish on the Revendred Slayer. This should prove a bit problematic, unless we like top deck an Imperm, which we don't. I think we prep here first. The problem is also like there's a quick effect spell banish on that guy. I think we go Shino Baroness here. We go prep. Ash is unfortunate, but we do have the call by for that. So let's hope that helps us a bit. We'll go Baron here. Like the one thing that we can really do here. Go ahead and calling. This way we can summon Shade. Go Sakitama Tribute, summon Shade. Go Sakitama CL1, target itself, and use the Shade to add a Shinobird card. Yep. The problem is that Himorogi will probably just get banished, which is not great. think we can fire Hemorrhogi here. Try and get out the Revenant Slayer banish that way. We'll just go ahead and banish the Hemorrhogi. Understandable. I think we just prep here. Get Baron Shade, grab a Ritual spell back and Calling. To be fair, we're losing Baron anyways. So the idea would mainly just be to hope that our opponent doesn't find enough follow-up. I think we go Calling. We summon the Shade. Send Shade. Hope he doesn't banish this on summon. He does banish it on summon. Okay, but this is quite good for us because we do have the second Calling. So we can go Baron with the Sakitama and the Baroness Shade in the grave. Go Baron effect. Bounce our opponent's entire board. Go combat. Punch. And from here it is basically just hoping that our opponent doesn't have like a crazy amount of follow-up. I don't recall us knowing a card in their hand. But that might just be me not having paid enough attention. Might have like a ritual spell left in there. Oh, Unizombie is a crazy good normal summon here. Sending any zombie from the deck to the graveyard, that's of course going to be rather dangerous. And that's a Glow Up Bloom. That's not good. At least this doesn't summon. So hopefully this just like grabs a Scar or another big Vendred idiot. We are grabbing Baladroke, okay. Vendred Knights send the Baladroke, of course, which is very nice. Since that way we do have the Baladroke live on the follow-up turn. Grab Battlelord. Hoo boy. And we have an evolution in hand. That's a problem. Send Scar for Slayer. Yeah, ritual summoning from the deck is kind of crazy. That certainly does help these decks in, you know, achieving their plays. But I think this should be a pretty good matchup nonetheless. We're making Evandred Slayer, or Savior, Evandred Savior, not Revendred Slayer. Jesus Christ. These cards all have very similar names. Send Scavenger. Evandred Savior, add back Evandred card, which will be the evolution. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Summon back Scar, and then we ritual into what is probably another Revendred Slayer, yeah. Summon back Scar. That does lock him into zombies, but I don't think that's, you know, terribly important here. Oh, Senza Mizuki, yeah. Zombies do be kinda crazy. It's also not once per turn, yeah. Yeah, this also isn't once per turn. Yeah, we do need quite the top deck here to get back into this one. Oh, that is like literally the best top deck, I'd say. Let's go pre-prep here. Grab Calling Baroness, for which we do have exactly the targets in deck. We can like once again punch for 3k, but that is just about it. There's not a whole lot of good spirits to summon here. Yeah, I think we can, you know, punch for 3k again, you know, which is kind of cute. But that certainly doesn't win us any games. Even if, you know, we're getting close, you know, 2k is not a whole lot. But yeah, let's hope that these tokens keep us alive once again. Although we can't rip a ritual spell off the top anymore, which is a problem. And our opponent has like 7 cards in hand, so probably like more than enough ways to like kill us. Yeah, the banish on the field spell was like absolutely terrible, especially with like a Mizuki in grave. Yeah, there's more than enough gas in the tank. Can just easily pitch the Bale again for another, you know, Slayer. Oh, Necro World Banshee's a crazy one. Zombie World I'd say doesn't bother us too much. We're not too type dependent here. If this changed attributes, I think we'd been in a much tighter spot. But we're still not in a good spot. So, you know, there's that. Oh, wow. How does he keep getting away with it? The problem is now that we're under Zombie World, Bela Droke is actually like an insanely scary card. That certainly is a problem. I mean, we can prep here. Because we are just that nice. Grab a ritual spell back from the graveyard here. Yeah, but there's not a whole lot so we can like realistically do here. We can of course calling for, you know, the Baron again. Go ahead and banish the small ones once again. But I think the Baron just gets, you know, tributed via the Vendred Origin that our opponent has set there in the back row, and that is basically the game, which is the problem. Can't just, you know, go combat and not use the effect. That doesn't really make a difference here. If we trigger the small ones, it's just combat and games, or rather game. We weren't able to walk with a win there, but I still think, you know, we got to show off a couple of the things that this deck does quite well, despite, you know, getting the field spell banished, which is, of course, unfortunate. Damn, when you're playing against an actual deck and not a 60-card Dark Magician pile, games really tend to tank a while. But, yeah. Besides that, I think a lot of the things that I mentioned in the deck profile, or kind of, you know, alluded to in the deck profile, were, I think, clearly shown. This deck does have a lot of steam on follow-up turns, even if you're not consistently ripping a pre-prep or preparation off the top of your deck. Some people are just nice like that. I certainly am not, but some days it be like that. But if you're not getting your field spell banished, you are in a similar position. At the end of each turn, as soon as a wind monster returns to your hand, which is not a hard thing to do, you do get to recuperate a lot of advantage, and I think that game would have gone a good bit differently if our opponent wasn't able to set up such a formidable board going first, which is why I do believe this deck has a decent bit of potential for like a blind second strategy, where you kind of simplify a game state with, you know, one of the many incredibly powerful board breakers that the modern game has, be it kaijus, be it something like a Dark Ruler No More, or an evenly matched in, you know, less negation heavy formats. But that said, I do really like this new Shinobird support, and am looking forward to, further optimizing this deck and kind of, keeping, getting a bit more games in with this, because this does seem very competent for, very casual purposes, of course. But with all that being said, let me know down in the comments below what you think of the new Shinobird support. I do know that member of the community Plusquamperfect is also very fond of this deck. Shoutouts to you here at this point. It's just an incredibly cool deck concept-wise, and I think it does a lot to, I think, very well facilitate running spirits in the main deck, and alongside, an incredibly powerful new spirit in Sakitama that we've gotten in Cyberstorm Axis. This deck certainly has gotten some teeth, I think. And, if the field spell's not gone, we might be, in a better position in that game specifically. But yeah, before I end this off, let me know down in the comments below what you think of this kind of very on-the-fly style of video where I, am just like, hey, here's a, rough draft of a deck, or like a deck list I've done a couple test hands with and feel confident with. Let's take that into like a best of one or maybe even a match on Edo Pro and, see how much damage we can do. Kind of as a one-take testing at home. I'm still such a huge fan of MBT's one-take testing and 10-minute testing series. I think that's such a good format to, overview and review decks. But that is just me fanboying at this point. But yeah, leave those things in the comments down below. It'd be insanely interesting to me to hear your guys' input on this sort of stuff, because it really helps, cater these videos a bit better to the people that will watch these in the end. But yeah. With all that being said, I will thank you guys very much for watching if you've made it this far into the video, and I will see you guys again next time. But until then, goodbye.